Welcome back, I am your favorite YouTuber to put on the second screen, IPM, and today I'm already scraping for new concepts, so I'm going to check out the hottest takes the DBD community has. I found this little post here that asks, what are your hottest takes about DBD? Not talking about obvious stuff like Nerf Trapper, I'm talking about we should ban Survive with Friends for people with over 500 hours. Okay, hear me out, why is it actually a good idea? I also love how the topic is marked as answered by somebody who said 99% of the community is brain damaged. Wait, that's not a hot take, that's just a fact, sorry. So welcome my little brain damaged community. Time to check out some of these hot takes. We have somebody who says remove solo queue, make survivors only able to queue as pairs, duos, or full swift, so if you don't have friends you can just fuck right off. Okay, great, that's a great first take. Even more in Dead by Daylight, I feel like nobody has friends in this game. Like, it's either people are playing alone or doing full survive with friends, but it's just tryhards that decided to team up on a random Discord server and are now like running games to like feel a bit of happiness in their life for once. There should be an unsportsmanlike queue. Like if there is a killer who stands just outside of anti-camp zone with Bubba, and instead of getting banned, they just get matched with other unsportsmanlike players like bully squads and people who spam crouch, etc. Obviously a terrible idea and shouldn't actually be done because the entire community would probably end up here. I feel like the hardest thing would be actually to detect what you're talking about. Like spam crouching can be done as teabagging, but also as form of communication between survivors. So how do we know? How do we choose what is bad teabagging and what is acceptable teabagging? I don't remember what game did this, but I remember a game doing cheater queues. Maybe it's Apex. I think it's Apex. Who had like queues, and if the game detected you were like a subtle cheater or a big cheater, instead of banning you, would just like queue you up against other cheaters. And I feel like that could be a really good idea for Dead by Daylight. I mean, they're not banning them, so might as well, create a separate queue for cheaters. I mean, why not? Rework windows of opportunity so you can actually have to earn your info. Seeing every next style handed to you builds bad habits. That's true. Players stop learning map flow, panic, run to any tile, ignore kill passing, never develop spatial memory, and end up relying on the perk instead of real looping. I feel like windows of opportunity is like good maybe if you're playing like your first like 50 to 100 hours, but after this you should just stop using the perk like whatsoever, just drop it entirely. If you're reading windows, it's already like you're a bit scared and you want more information on looping, etc. But in general, you need to be actively looking at where you can go next while working on a generator or like looping. But the biggest problem is actually Windows takes a perk slot. It's essentially the perk slot because you could just use your eyes and map knowledge to just do the same effect. So I do agree Windows needs a rework in general. I absolutely don't know how they could do this though. Maybe like nerf the range or something, or maybe show you like every time you drop a pallet shows you another pallet somewhere, like the closest one. Maybe if you panicked and dropped the pallet early and you're now like in a difficult situation, you could just run straight to a pallet. Being tunneled is fun. I have seen a lot of people talk about being tunneled as Survivor, and it feels like it's the most miserable thing ever, and I don't understand it. Being tunneled lets me improve at a faster than normal rate. Chase is the most fun part of the game, and there's a much higher chance my team would escape, which I prefer over escaping by myself. Okay, so being chased is fun, I do agree with him. I think being tunneled, I don't think being tunneled is like that bad. Most of the time when I'm being tunneled, I just think of it as, okay, well, there's gotta be a survivor that dies every game, it's pretty rare to do 4 mans out anyways. Just like loop and try to do some insane stuff and keeping on me for like 5 gens, I think the best thing you could ever get in Dead by Daylight is literally run a killer for the entirety of every gen, and it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's like an insane dopamine rush. Like, as long as my teammates leave, I don't really care, because my job here is done, if they abandon me on the hook, I don't really mind. At the end of the game, Dead by Daylight is like a teams game, and I just made my enemy lose. So yeah, personally, I love being in chase as a survivor, and I'm not really like unhappy when I get tunneled, especially nowadays. Like you still have a lot of perks to just make the tunneling not be as efficient as it was before. I think tunneling is more of a problem for people who aren't really comfortable with being in chase all the time, like people who don't have as many hours as me or the guy who wrote this have. But I don't think it's really a problem with tunneling in general. I think it's just people, some reason people want to have like a lot of hours and win a lot of games and still like not interact with the killer in any way. And I just find this weird, because if I just do gens all game, this is like the most boring game of my life. I don't want you to just gens all game. If I do like a 5-gen chase and like somebody still dies afterwards, I'll be mad. As long as there's 3 man out, I don't have any regrets. But I do agree, kinda, in general, being tunneled is fun, and it's also like, sometimes it's more of a flattering thing, because you've pissed off the killer so much during your initial chase that he was like, nope, I'm getting rid of you. And I'm like, I really played that first chase like really well, if you really want me to get tunneled out. At that point, it's just a 1v1 you're doing, like the rest of the game doesn't matter anymore. You just want him to lose as many gens as possible, and it will be your pride when you die, and he will be happy he killed you in particular. And at the end of the day, you know, survivors win, killers killed the arch enemy of the game, like everybody's happy, okay? I think there is no such thing as a bad killer. Every killer just depends on how good the person is using them. I don't think there is bad killers. Obviously, you can do 4Ks with like any killer in the game. Like Skull Merchant and Trapper are probably like the worst killers right now, and they consistently get 4Ks, so it's not really like killers are that weak. It's more so that like the strength disparity between killers is actually ginormous. Like nurse mains are able to go like on 500 win streaks without ever equipping a perk. And what's the longest trapper streak, even with like double add-ons and every perk? Like I feel like it can't be above 200. Like, I'm sorry. I believe the game is intentionally designed to favor the survivor experience. Is it though? I mean, it would make sense, because obviously survivors make up a bigger part of the community, since then you need 4 survivors for each killer. I mean, it would make sense still from behavior's point of view, because obviously since there are more survivor players who can spend even more money on cosmetics, it would make sense to please them more than killers. And I do kinda agree, like there hasn't been that many metas where killer was the definitive better role. The meta has always been in favor of survivors. There's been like maybe 2 metas where killers had the upper hand. So I do understand where this feeling comes from, but I don't think it's genuinely like an effort from behavior. I think they're just really bad at doing balance changes. Diminishing returns should affect the killer's base speed. It means that if the killer is 115%, the killer gets less haste status. I mean, I don't really agree with this, just for the simple reason of, do you actually run haste perks on 110 killers? Does any 110 like use any haste thing? Like Trickster uses, wait, what is Trickster speed actually? I don't know. Trickster has a Neri that buffs his speed, but like that's about it. I don't think anybody uses like haste on 110s. Do they? I mean, if you're a 110 killer, you usually have a ranged or like a quick movement like Spirit or Blight. I feel like haste perks are kind of wasted. So if you were to implement this, just haste in general for killers would just disappear. And I don't think if nerfing haste is really a good idea, because if you nerf haste, the killer's reactions is not going to be to just run haste perks and just tank with the nerf. It's going to be to run 4 slowdowns to make the game longer, so I can't really agree on that. Bring back Old X Ruin. That would be... I mean, would that be really bad? No, that would be... yeah, okay. And yeah, Old X Ruin was just like not really fun or interactive anyways. I don't think we lost a huge perk, honestly. Okay, so we have a few rapid fires in there, but our web system should be reworked, and items plus blood points should become scarce while making items more OP. I have billion of items, which I don't often even bother to bring into the game. The whole grind feels meaningless. I was watching an Arts video before where he was talking, it's an old video where he was talking about like bad ideas from the community, which included like crafting the add-ons you actually want from add-ons you don't want to use. And I do fully agree with his take that it would just kill diversity and make this game into more of a casino than it already is. People would just play what is meta all the time, and it just genuinely wouldn't be fun. A lot of add-ons can still be used and be fun in some situations. It's just like if you want to min-max stuff, obviously, but even on medkits or like toolboxes, I myself often run like the brown add-ons or the yellow add-ons. Wait, are they yellow? Whatever the rarity is, just above brown. I don't think the grind feels meaningless, even more now that we have actually like prestige reward. But even items wise, like items add-ons just change killers and survivors a lot, so I don't think we really need to buff this. Closed hatch spawn before popping the last gen was cool. It was horrendous and it just skipped the entirety of late game. Please do not bring this back. If you want to bring this back, like just give like 15 seconds more to every single generator and make hook last 10 seconds less. The Dead by the Night will need to be balanced around everyone just dipping after doing 4 gens. Old running animation was better. I mean, it's just like it's not that it was better, you had like more freedom of movement, but it also led to a few problems, so I can understand why they changed it. Also, the DBD atmosphere was 10 times better because it actually felt like a horror game. Yeah, and DBD really isn't a horror game nowadays, so once again I understand why they made upgrades to the environment and the atmosphere, etc. A few games like Apex, for example, have done modes where they bring back like a state of the game when it just released, like as a game mode. Like for example, Apex did a mode where it was you could play season 2 Apex, and it was like with the maps, the heroes, how they were balanced back in the days and everything. And I feel like something like this with Dead by Daylight that could be a bit more themed around horror could really work well as a temporary game mode. Since they've done a few engine changes, I don't really know how they would work this into the game, but I feel like it could be a really cool game mode nonetheless. Maybe you should consider making Dead by Daylight 2 and rebooting the whole thing at this point, to be honest. Fixing them generators for the rest of your lives as the only means of escaping has to be the laziest approach of game design. I think they said DBD 2 was not happening at all. In general, like, if you don't fix generators, you're going to do something else. I mean, I do agree it's like boring to do, it's repetitive, and it's not like fascinating stuff. But it's a tough thing to balance regardless. I think at that point it's just like how the game is, and expecting them to get rid of generators would be kinda unrealistic. TL dropping some Truth Nuke. Game is very good, but community is extremely toxic and sweaty for no reason. Yes, DBD is a party game. Not really Truth Nuke anymore, my bad. That discomp nonsense with tunneling, sprint burst, vigil, force slowdown, etc. We did this to ourselves, it's not the developer's fault. They didn't expect this level of sweat and autism from the player base. Okay, now you're being toxic. Every time they do something, people are complaining, even if it's a good change or addition. I do agree with this though. Yes, I do agree DBD players in general are quite unhappy all the time, even if the changes brought to the game are actually good. I do not think Dead by Daylight is a party game though. I think Dead by Daylight has not been a party game for like so many years already. It's entirely a competitive online game. It is. Dead by Daylight is all about winning or losing. I think it just makes it competitive in nature. Obviously, you don't launch a game of Dead by Daylight thinking, I don't mind losing. No, you want to escape as a survivor. You want to kill at least 3 people as a killer. Like, it is a competitive game. We need ranked and casual modes. Ranked modes should be solo queue only. No, that's not great, actually. Casual mode should only allow adept plus general perks, or you can opt in chaos, shuffle, loadout. There's nothing casual about a full slowdown nurse or a phone man add-on flashbang squad that forces that dog salute. So I do agree, I am kinda like on the side of DBD having a casual and ranked. I do think it could be good for the game. I don't think ranked should be only solo, because then your casual games would be harder than your ranked, which is a bit funny. And limiting that heavily what you can play in casual isn't really fun either. I think maybe if you want a distinction between the two, maybe casuals could just get rid of anything iridescent, be it add-ons or like, well, add-ons in general for killers or survivors. And if you're going into ranks, you can use them, but you actually have like a limitation of like 1 perk. Like you can't run all sprint burst, or maybe for something that forces you to play like one of the perk of the survivor you're playing. That'd probably be easier to code, I guess. But I do like the idea of a ranked mode, to be honest. I know it's not a popular idea in the community, but I do like this. Oh, DBD content creators are causing most of the bad game design with their bad suggestions and use their audience to promote how they want the game. But I'm not really like I'm not even a content creator when I'm saying these words, because I haven't even created my YouTube channel, but as something I aim to become, I kinda think this is like half true, half wrong. So content creators obviously are playing the game way more than you in general, because like they live from making videos on this game, so obviously they're going to know this game more than you. And sometimes they will see problems that casual players do not, for like multiple reasons. First could be just this is a problem at high MMR, and obviously not everybody's at high MMR, so they don't like know of the problem. Or sometimes they just like seen perk combo enough to know that this is extremely problematic, and that people in a few weeks or months, once they will have gone through as many games as the content creators has in 2 days, they will also realize that this combo of perks is like huge trouble, and they are going to ask for enough. And it may seem like it's like unnecessary, because most casual players just haven't been having trouble with this at all. Or maybe you just run one of these 2 perks and you like it, and then it gets nerfed because of Arts or Ents or whoever, and then you're mad at them, you know? Which is also a reason I think Arts literally stopped doing videos like, you need to nerf said perk and all, because he was literally getting like flamed every time there was a change of the game, and he was like, that's not even my fault. So yes, firstly, most of the time it could just be a difference of content creators detect problems that casuals won't see because they play the game way more than them. And sometimes it could also be problems such as I always forget the name. Is it JC, who's like an Unreal main who detected like a big problem with how TV spawned, and yeah, you wanted this change, and well, it did happen thanks to Springtrap using the same mechanic of spawning as Unreal. Obviously it made Unreal stronger, but it's not like he was complaining about like something and wanted the buff, you know. It doesn't really, like, DBD doesn't listen to its community like that. I mean, they barely even do listen to their community in general, so I don't think even content creators have that much of a weight when talking about like balance changes or stuff like this. But I don't think content creators have like already extremely bad suggestions. Most of the time it's just stuff that most of the audience doesn't understand fully. And they don't promote stuff that they want, because obviously they play Dead by Daylight for a living, so they don't want the game to be broken and for people to lose interest and stop looking at their videos. They want stuff that will help people actually enjoy the game more, you know. It's most of the time it comes from a place of genuinely wanting the game to be better. And sometimes it needs buffing killers or perks or nerfing killers or perks because they're just not fun to face. And you might think my words don't really have weight to them, because obviously, well, first of all, I'm a very small content creator, but second of all, I'm a content creator technically, so obviously I would defend and be against this thing. But I don't even play the game as much as most of these guys, which is why I actually want to do vids, because I think I represent like most of the casuals. Like, I've been playing this game on and off, and I'm not like as unemployed as most of the Dead by Daylight players are. And even I sometimes have watched the videos and thought like, oh, I was making a big deal out of nothing, but then like once you watch these videos a few years afterwards, which is something I do a lot, like I think I've watched every odds vid like I've done at least 5 times. Like it's weird, but I don't have a lot of stuff to watch, okay? But then you realize like, dang, this guy was right, because if this was still a thing nowadays, the game would be so unfun. I do understand why people would be mad though, because sometimes it ends up nerfing perks or killers people use and didn't see the problem with, so it feels unfair, but at least it comes from goodwill, not the shop. The game was made to have people trapped in a loop of thinking the other side is easier, and it leads to keeping player retention by trapping them in said loop, switching back and forth. I think this game's community would be way better off if people actually switched between like roles every now and then. Because I feel like a lot of like survivor mains, for example, are not aware of how a killer plays. Like, they don't understand everything that goes on through the mind of a killer when playing. And it's a problem for 2 reasons. First of all, it makes you, well, literally not as good at the game that you could be. Playing both roles really helps you, because when you're in Survivor and you've played like a lot of killer, you can actually know what the killer is going to do based on what you would do. Or it also allows you, even if you get down or something, like sometimes I'm getting downed by a killer, but I'm like, this is still a win for me. Because if I was a killer, I would have dropped the chase like 1 gen pop ago. And I just know in general that like we as survivors have the advantage simply because the killer spent like 2 generators to chase me down, and it's like my first hook, so I'm like, this is stupid from you, and my mental is better because I know my team has the advantage. Whereas if you're only playing Survivor, you will only see like, you will only think I'm half of the way to being dead, and not think that much about the generators being done and the time being insanely lost for the killer. Now in general, do I think there's an easier side? I don't really know. Maybe Survivor is a bit easier, but I think it's mainly due to the fact that if you're playing in a role where there's 4 people that have the same role, you will individually bear less responsibility for the victory of your side. What I'm saying is a killer's mistake is like extremely punishing because you are alone on your side, you're in a 1v4. But if you do a mistake as a survivor, it's not that bad. Like, you usually need to do a lot of mistakes to solo lose the game, you know? But I don't think both roles thinks that the other side is easier. Oh, maybe they do actually. Maybe he is correct. Almost every perk that adds a flat boost to a stat, like haste, repair speed, or heal buff, needs to be removed or reworked. Perks should give you some kind of tool, not a straight buff. I think that's an interesting take. I don't think it's a realistic take, because there's like 300 perks in the game, and if you had to do something extremely original for each and every 300 perks of these, it would be an insane amount of work, and I don't think it could be even done, even with all the goodwill in the world. Still not talking about the shops. I think in general it's just fun to have flat stat boost. I'm having fun just healing my friends like 50% faster, you know, it's quite cool. Unknown should be stronger than it currently is. I mean, it's still not a bad killer. I think if you want to buff killers, there's definitely way more killers in the list than Unknown, you know. Adding secondary objectives is a good idea and would actually enhance the experience. Yes, I do agree. Secondary objectives could be fun. You would need, obviously, to, like, nerf how long generators take. But I really like having to do multiple things. I really like the change as soon as late game hits. Having to just play around gate is, like, a fun change of, well, gameplay. And I think Dead by Daylight could really do something great. I don't really have a lot of ideas on what they could do. I was initially going to talk about a second post I've seen, but I've actually been recording for like 40 minutes. I don't even know how I did that. So I guess there will be a part 2 for this video. Then I'll have to do a new thumbnail for this video. That's gonna be that's gonna be great. In general, I think we've seen pretty good ideas, or like pretty meh ideas, but no like insanely bad ideas, which is surprising for the DBD community. If you have any hot takes of your own, I'll be glad to react to them in another video, because I probably hit rock bottom of creativity. So thank you guys for giving me videos. But I guess I could only get comments if I get views anyways, so that's gonna be tough already. Anyways, have a good one, and as always, I'm gone. Yeah, no need to imagine this time. Bye.